Next we have Leslie, who's been involved in the Black Lives Matter rallies and is, incredible speaker. If we can just give her a warm welcome today.
I've forgotten how to use Facebook, pardon me. All right, so Sophie found me when I arrived and asked me if I would say a few words today, apologizing that it was very short notice, but I love that sort of thing, so it's cool. Right, I want to talk a little bit about hypocrisy and logic. All right? Well, first I want to say that everyone who has been involved in the blockade, I have such admiration for you guys. Like, honestly. And the kinds of criticism that everyone involved in this fight, the kinds of insults and everything else that people have received, they just don't fit logically. And as a critical thinker, that's where I find the most offense. You know, people will say things like, oh, bunch of dull-blooders, you need to get jobs. But they're not saying the same thing to people down in Queen Street Mall or in the other shopping areas who are out doing, performing capitalism in the middle of a week, in the middle of the day. It's like there's this disconnect between the ability to be gainfully employed and actually do things that actually matter with your free time. It makes no sense. And there's a football game today. So, people who hide behind the whole COVID thing as a reason to not gather in these groups and a reason to not protest, they're not saying the same thing about these football games and these other large gatherings that are happening. People get so caught up in the things that are going to drive the economy forward, things that are going to make profits, without really considering what else is at stake. Because profits somehow are upheld above actual human rights. When you threaten to close down a bridge, for some relatively short period of time in the grand scheme of things, people start screaming about their freedoms. Their freedom to move freely throughout the city and to not have their day interrupted. It's like, you know what? Go talk to those guys in that hotel and talk about freedom and talk about being able to just walk around town. It doesn't fit logically. And it really shows where people's priorities are. A lot of people will say things like, oh, you don't even know these guys. Why are you doing all this? It's just to get attention. And to those people, I say, you know what? Welcome to activism. Because if you're not getting attention on an issue, you're kind of doing it wrong. And the fact is, we do know these guys. Okay, we know that Hakeem is a poet. We know that, I feel like if I mention anyone, I have to mention everyone, which I can't. So I'm just going to talk about a little conversation I had with my friend Amin recently. He was he was very upset. This is all on Facebook Messenger. And, we talked about some pretty heavy things. Then we started talking about music. Just a human-to-human conversation about music. Turns out he likes hip-hop, he likes country, he doesn't like rock, he doesn't like heavy metal. He doesn't really like Australian hip-hop. He thinks the accent is all wrong. So one thing I've been doing is just sending him Aussie hip-hop videos. Which, given that he's already said he doesn't like that type of music, I could be committing a human rights abuse as well. I don't know, maybe I'm a hypocrite, who knows? But the point is, these are real human beings with stories and with hobbies and with talents. People talk about how much money is being wasted on security, protecting the building from the people in the blockade. And it's like, okay, so how many billions of taxpayer dollars are being wasted keeping them there? It doesn't fit logically. So when people hide behind things like COVID, when people hide behind things like the economy, when people hide behind things like, oh, you know, activists and protesters, they just need to get a job. They don't really believe any of those things. All it is bigotry, pure and simple. That's all. Because if they want to say like, oh, they're, you know, these guys just came for free money, you know, to get support from our government. Meanwhile, they've got skills and talents and career backgrounds that could really benefit this country. And they're going to waste. So again, it does not fit logically. You know, people don't leave a war-torn country where their lives are being threatened, take, you know, really dangerous risks to come to somewhere where they're supposed to be free and be able to create a life for themselves, just so that they can, you know, sit and chill and not do anything but waste money. Like, they'd much rather be doing something fulfilling than just taking money. and you know, all these dole bludgers who are protesting. Okay, see, every time I see that argument, it kind of makes me laugh a little bit, because I'm imagining a scenario where someone goes through the trouble of getting on Centrelink, getting all these benefits, taking all this money, and they're like, you know what? I've got all this money, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go sleep in the rain and the cold and get, you know, insulted in the media and all this stuff because I'm so lazy. That's what I'm gonna do. It doesn't fit logically. It just doesn't. So again, I mean, everyone who's been involved in this struggle, I have such admiration for all of you. I wish I could be out there with you in the blockade all the time, but I've got a 3-year-old daughter who a lot of you have met. She's pretty cute, right? Yeah, so, you know, it's a little tricky. So there are other ways to get involved. And the thing that I've been trying to do is just share as much useful content as I can through my social media, sharing photographs, sharing photos of the men, to show them as human beings, to see how they're changing over time. You know, what different outfits they're wearing from one day to the next, what different hairstyles they've got from one day to the next. Part of that is to just dismantle this myth that all refugees are just a monolith, and that all activists are just a monolith. Because once you monolithicize something, it makes it easier to dehumanize and objectify that thing and then attack it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's not cool. And I think that's where I'll end my little spiel. Say that you guys, you're doing the right thing. All of them, they're not doing the right thing. So congratulations. And thank you.